Okay, we're on Lesson 8, Session 1, page 189. Okay, Munchkins, Lesson 8 is a total review of everything we've learned, and it's putting it all together. It's just kind of reviewing all that we've learned so far this year. So hopefully it will be easy for you, and just follow along. So it says, Elizabeth has 35 cars. How can she put her toy cars on the top and bottom shelves of her bookcase? Show 3 ways. Well, first of all, down here it says, what is the problem about? Well, the problem is about 35 is the total number of toy cars that Elizabeth has. And she has to put the groups of cars, she has to put that number into groups and put them on 2 shelves. So then I asked myself, what am I trying to find out? I'm trying to find out how many cars can go on the top shelf and how many can go on the bottom shelf, and figure out different ways, different groups to do that. So first off, I want you to look here. Here's 35, right? This is 10, 20, 30, and 30 plus 5 equals 35. So these are my linking cubes, and we're going to pretend they're 35 cars. So we could do on one shelf, one way could be 30 could go on the top shelf and 5 could go on the bottom. That would be one way. Or I could move a row of cars over. 20 could go on the top shelf, and 10 plus 5 is 15. 15 could go on the bottom shelf, correct? Or I could move it over another way, and this would be my third way. 10 cars could go on the top shelf. 10 plus 10 is 20. 20 plus 5 equals 25. 10 on the top shelf and 25 on the bottom shelf. So in the space here, you see how you have your space there? You need to write these equations. We just did them with the linking cubes. 30 plus 5 equals 35. That could go on that could be one way we could do it. Another way we could do it would be 20 plus 15 equals 35, or 10 plus 25 equals 35. Then underneath, you're going to need to write top plus bottom shelf. And then we're going to write it out. On the top shelf, we could put 30. On the bottom shelf, we could put 5 cars. That's one way. Another way, on the top shelf, we could put 20. On the bottom shelf, we could put 15. That's another way you could write it. That's number 2. And then our third way is, on the top shelf, you could put 10. And on the bottom shelf, you could put 25. So here's 1 equation, 2 equation, 3 equation. And now we're showing it on the shelf. 1 matches 1, 2, 2, 3, 3. And that's the work that you would need to put for number 1. And remember, if I'm going too fast, the beauty of the recording is you can put me on pause and write it down. I'll give you a second to look at that. Now we're going to go to page 190. Okay, we're on page 190. Connect it, look back. What are 3 ways that Elizabeth can put her toy cars on the top and bottom shelves of the bookcase? Well, we just did it on page 190. So one way, this was what 35 looked like with our linking cubes, 35 cars here. So one way I think I might write about, you don't have to write them all because we just did it on the other page, but you need to use words and write it. So one way I might write about it is I'm going to say, on the top shelf, Elizabeth could put 20 cars, and on the bottom shelf, Elizabeth can put 15 cars. And this is how I would write it in that space. So you can write, Elizabeth can put 20 cars on the top shelf and 15 cars on the bottom shelf. You can pick one of the 3 equations and write about it that we did on the previous page. You don't have to do 20 plus 15. You can do one of the other 2. And you write it here. But this Munchkins is what's important. You can write it any way you want for the top and bottom shelf. The important thing is your sum has to be 35, okay? What numbers you put for your addends, it doesn't matter as long as it equals 35. It can't be more than 35, nope. and it can't be less than 35. Okay? So, as long as the addends equal the same thing. I'm sorry, forgive me. As long as the addends equal up to 35. Okay. Okay, number 2, look ahead. You can use different strategies to solve addition and subtraction problems. Think about this problem. Gary has 50 marbles. What are some different ways he can put them all into 2 bags? Complete the equations to show 3 different ways. So with those lines down there, they want us to use 3 different ways to show this. So we come over here to my linking cubes. We had 35 because we used that for a previous problem. 10 plus 10 is 20, plus 10 is 30, plus 5. So that's 35. But what if I decided, how much more am I going to need to make 50? So 10, 20, 30, 40, 45, 50. So this is 15 more, correct? 10, 20, 30, 35, 40, 50. So in that line, you could write 35 plus 15 linking cubes equal 50. So now we just did 35 minus 15. Plus 15 equals 50. So we know that there's 50 linking cubes here all together. So what's another way if we start with 50, the next equation wants us to start with 50. So here's 50, and they want us to take something away. What can we take away? What if we take 50 minus, let's say, 25? What would that leave us? 50 minus 25, what would that leave us? It would leave us 25. So we could write that. 50 minus 25 equals 25. So the next equation is going to be 50 equal blank plus blank. So our sum is 50, and we need to figure out 2 more addends. So coming back here, I know I have 50 here. What's another way I could do this? I know. I think I'll do 40 plus 10 equals 50. Would that work? 10, 20, 30, 40, and then I add 10 more, plus 10 equals 50. It sure will. So let's write that down here. 40 plus 10 equals 50. Okay, number 3, reflect. Are there other ways Gary could put the marbles into the 2 bags? Explain. So they want you to write in words here what you're going to do. So remember how I said in the previous problems, any 2 numbers with the sum of 50 are numbers that Gary could put into the 2 bags. So I would write these on the lines. Any 2 numbers with the sum of 50 are numbers that Gary could put into the 2 bags. So he could have put 48 in one bag and 2 in another bag. He could have put 46 in one bag and 4 in another bag. He could have put 25 in one bag and 25 in the other bag. As long as you write this down, any 2 numbers with the sum of 50 are numbers that Gary could put into the 2 bags. I'll give you a second to write that. Any 2 numbers with the sum of 50 are numbers that Gary could put into the 2 bags. Again, the beauty of recording, you can always stop and pause. Any 2 numbers with the sum of 50 are numbers that Gary could put into the 2 bags. Okay, you don't have to do number 1 on page 191. Don't worry about that. But I do want you to do number 2. Clark solves by counting up on a number line. Did he use his number strategy correctly? Explain. So I would like you to do number 2 on the bottom of page 191. And then I would like you to do on your own number 3 and 4 on page 192. And I'll see you tomorrow for more lessons. Enjoy, my munchkins.